नेशनल एंथम। तो सब लोगों से गुजारिश है कि जब नेशनल एंथम प्ले किया जाए तो अपनी सीटों से खड़े हो जाए। अभी प्रोग्राम का बाकायदा आगाज तिलावत कलाम पाक से किया जाएगा। Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Dr. distinguished guests, faculty members, and dear students. Good morning. On behalf of the University of Gujarat, I welcome you all in today's discussion on the highly significant and timely topic of the U.S.-China Geo-Strategic competition, implications and policy options for Pakistan. For the last 1.5 years, we have highly judged our domestic politics and we have ignored the geostrategic developments at international and domestic levels, which are very significant for Pakistan. University of Gujarat is aimed to bring scholars around the globe to discuss the burning issues faced with the country and reach out the possible rational solutions. Today's topic holds a great importance for the global community, particularly for Pakistan, as it navigates the complex dynamics of the competition between these two influential powers. Throughout this session, we aim to delve into the various implications arising from this competition and explore potential policy options for Pakistan to consider. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, US and China are staunch rivals in the pursuit of their interests in the region. In order to achieve their goals, different game plans are being set by both powers in the shape of agreements and alliances. The ongoing geopolitical competition between the United States and China has emerged as a defining feature of the 21st century. Both nations are major global powers, each with its own distinct vision and interests, and their competition spans multiple dimensions including economics, technology, military capability, and influence over regional and global affairs. On 23rd May 2022, President Joe Biden, along with other major powers of the region, announced the establishment of Indo-Pacific Economic Framework (IPEF). The agreement includes four major elements: trade, supply chain, clean energy, decarbonization, and infrastructure, tax, and anti-corruption. This agreement is specifically regarded the reaction of the China's recent political move of concluding its trade agreement with the Indo-Pacific stakeholders named as Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership (RCEP). RCEP, under the leadership of China, came into force on 1st January 2022 after the unilateral withdrawal of USA from Trans-Pacific Partnership. There was a huge vacuum which was being filled by China of its engaged regional powers in RCEP and BRI. It's ironic for the both power strategy that most of the countries that are part of RCEP became also part of IPEF. Then there are also security organizations like Quad, comprising of USA, Japan, Australia, and India. Quad, which originally was formed in 2007 to counter China, now includes the other areas of mutual interest along with being a security alliance. There is also AU-US, which is composed of Australia, UK, and US. For Pakistan, a country situated at the crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia, and Middle East, this competition carries profound implications. Pakistan shares deep-rooted ties with China, characterized by strategic collaboration, Islamic partnership, and the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Simultaneously, Pakistan maintains a long-standing relationship with the United States involving military assistance, counter-terrorism, cooperation, and diplomatic engagement. The point of concern over here for us is that India is part of many organizations like Quad, SCO, BRICS, Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia Pacific Economic Forum, APEC. So, today we aim to explore the implications of this U.S.-China Geo-Strategic competition for Pakistan and discuss potential policy options for Pakistan can consider to navigate this complex landscape. We engage participants to express their opinion, share insights, and engage in constructive dialogue. It is essential to maintain a respectful and inclusive environment and allowing for a diverse range of perspectives to be there. Let us engage in a thoughtful and insightful conversation that fosters greater understanding of this complex issue and contributes to the formulation of pragmatic policy options for Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to request our honorable guest, Dr. Nasir Hafiz, Director, SVI, for a brief introduction of the seminar. Dr. Nasir Hafiz.
सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूँ यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ गुजरात के साइंस प्रोफेसर पर और तमाम जो डिपार्टमेंट है इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस और पॉलिटिक्स का तमाम फैकल्टी और स्टूडेंट्स का कि आज हमें आपने मौका दिया कि हम इस्लामाबाद से जो हमारी नेशनल सिक्योरिटी की डिबेट है जो डिस्कोर्स है उसको यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ गुजरात तक लेकर आए। स्ट्रेटेजिक इंस्टीट्यूट बेसिकली एक इंडिपेंडेंट ऑटोनमस रिसर्च इदारा है और इट हैज बीन एस्टैब्लिश्ड इन 2013 और हमारी जो बेसिक जो मोटिवेशन है ऑफ एस्टैब्लिशमेंट एंड वर्किंग बेसिकली प्रोजेक्ट स्ट्रेटेजिक फोरसाइट ऑन इशू ऑफ issues of national and international importance through dispassionate, impartial, independent research, analysis and studies. And the primary focus of the SVI is to provide a framework of professional expertise, doctrinal wisdom and foresight that is indispensable for the formulation and management of the policy. ये जो मोटी मोटी अंग्रेजी में आपको बोल रहा हूँ, आई एम श्योर कि आप लोग इस बात को रोजाना अपनी क्लासों में सुनते भी होंगे और बातचीत भी करते होंगे और आपके टीचर्स आपको इन चीज़ों के बारे में बताते भी होंगे। जो स्टूडेंट्स इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस और पॉलिटिक्स के डिपार्टमेंट में आते हैं, उनके सामने अपने कैरियर पाथ में अगर मैं आपके सामने बयान करूँ तो दो बड़े रास्ते हैं। एक रास्ता तो ये है कि आप इस तालीम को हासिल करते 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 एक दिन अपने उस्तादों की जगह लेते। एज अ टीचर यू बिकम after having gone through these degrees and joined the universities and academic faculty of that university. दूसरा आपके पास ऑप्शन है कि ज्वाइन द पॉलिसी, और पॉलिसी साइड के ऊपर आपके पास गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन भी हैं और प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशन भी हैं। तो थिंक टैंक्स जो हैं ये बेसिकली जो गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस, एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस और इन सारों के दरमियान एक ब्रिज का काम करते हैं। The researchers, those who work in the think tanks, they have the multiple responsibilities of not only conducting an academic research, but at the same time looking into the practical policy problems and then finding solutions to them. Bringing those academic solutions to the policy side and then educating the policy so that society के अंदर एक ऐसी positive development create की जाए कि knowledge base, जैसे कि आपके माशाल्लाह इन दीवारों के ऊपर जो अहादीस लिखे हुए हैं और जो कुरान की आयात लिखी हुई हैं, ये sufficient है to give us an insight that we need as a Muslim society to formulate and to fundamentally raise our society on the basis of knowledge. The knowledge-based society is the ultimate society which would be successful and would lead in the contemporary, highly changing, complex, technologically advanced society. अगर हम ये नहीं करेंगे तो ignorance जो जहालत है वो ऑलरेडी हमारे इर्द स्क्रीन है। और I am very happy to know that the campus, Gujarat University campus, is at a very important historical location that somebody thought of in, I think, a few centuries ago that an academic institution should come up. So I think there is a lot of responsibility for all those students, those who join this campus, and the faculty, those who join here, that they carry that heritage, that they carry that message and to the greater good of the society. So, जब आप पॉलिसी साइड पे आएंगे, आज हमारा जो सब्जेक्ट है ये बेसिकली उसी एक पॉलिसी साइड की जो फॉरेन पॉलिसी को गाइड करेगा कि व्हाट आर दी कॉम्प्लिकेशंस एट द इंटरनेशनल लेवल। आपने अपने गांव की सतह से, अपने शहर की सतह से, अपने मुल्क की सतह से अपने आप को बुलंद करके इंटरनेशनल सतह पे लेके जाना है। यही इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस का पहला सबक है जो आपने पढ़ना है। और इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस में जब आप इंटरनेशनल सतह पे अपने आप को लेके जाएंगे तो then you will understand that what is the conflict going on between the great powers and why things happen the way they happen. Then you will understand what are the complications of international system, how international order is established. और फिर आप जब पाकिस्तान में बैठे, गांव में बैठे हुए, जब आप कहते हैं कि पेट्रोल की प्राइसेस जो है वो कंट्रोल नहीं हो सकती, इकोनॉमी डाउन हो जाती है या रिसेशन आ गई है, तो आपको फिर समझ आएगी कि ये जो यूक्रेन में रशिया जो लड़ रहा है वो या जो चाइना और अमेरिका आपस में कॉम्पिटिशन कर रहे हैं पावर के लिए, उसका ट्रिकल डाउन इफेक्ट आपके गाँव में भी आएगा। जब आप रशिया से तेल नहीं ले सकते, जब आप ईरान से तेल नहीं ले सकते, हालांकि तेल तो तेल ही होता है, तो आपको फिर समझ आती है कि कैसे पॉलिसीज जो है वो ग्रेट पावर और पॉलिटिक्स आपकी ऑप्शंस को लिमिट करती हैं और कैसे फिर आप उस पॉलिसी ऑप्शन की लिमिटेड स्फीयर के अंदर कैसे अपने लिए नई ऑप्शंस ओपन अप कर सकते हैं। सो विद दीज थिंग्स इन माइंड, द SVI-UOG Real Institute has some objectives. We aim to offer analysis based on objective research and studies in the areas of strategic studies and policy studies, nuclear studies, nuclear policy, safety and security, nuclear doctrine, deterrence, arms control, disarmament, non-proliferation, regional and international peace, security and stability, and then we also work on the capacity building of our institution, and that is why we are here today, that we need to work together, this department and we sitting in Islamabad, work together and share our understanding and knowledge. We do not only conduct research, we also publish a lot of academic material in the form of books, monographs, journal, reports, and issue briefs. Our Journal of Security and Strategic Analysis is an HEC recognized journal, where we publish it twice in the one in the winter and the summer section. So we encourage you all, आप सारे अपने articles जो हैं वो submit करवाएं, and we would really help you out in publishing your work. As far as this topic is concerned, I'm not going to say anything more on whatever my worthy speakers, those who want to follow me, are going to say. I will just do a small exercise, and then I will hand over the floor to the master of the ceremony for the subsequent. If you just think of yourself sitting in this hall and just recall and tell me, who is the most important person in this hall today and now? Think of yourself. Tell me, who is the most important person in this hall? Somebody may be thinking Naeem is the most important person. Or since I'm standing on the podium, I'm the most important person. Or maybe my executive director, he's my teacher also. Dr. Salik was traveled all the way, he's the most important person. Anybody can help me. Who is the most important person in this hall? Yes?
The person with the most power and authority.
The person who has the power and resources, I think the Naeem qualifies for this. He has the power and the resources. No, I don't agree with that. Next, anybody else? Please. Yes. You are the most important person sitting on this chair in this room. There are people who are paid, who are given money to serve you. And we have come from Islamabad just to serve you. अगर एक सेकंड के लिए students elaborate कर रहे हैं इस campus में से, what is left out of this campus? Some buildings, some trees. So you are the most important person. Every single student, a lady and a gentleman, is the most important person in this entire campus. Okay, if you are the most important person in this campus, you individually, then everyone else is also equally important as you yourself are. ठीक है? आप सारे के सारे इस पूरे कैंपस में इंडिविजुअली अहम हैं और इसी तरीके से हर इंडिविजुअल स्टूडेंट अहम है, ठीक है? लेकिन एक चीज और मैं आपको बता दूं कि आप सारे के सारे मुख्तलिफ हैं. You are all unique, you are all different, and you do not share anything in common. इस कमरे में आप बैठे हुए एक खास फिजिकल लोकेशन पे बैठे हुए हैं, that is x axis and y axis. आपकी आंख की पुतली में बनने वाला इमेज किसी दूसरे की आंख में बनने वाले इमेज से मिलता नहीं है. आपके कानों में मेरी जो आवाज पड़ रही है, इससे जो मतलब निकाल रहे हैं, जो मीनिंग क्रिएशन कर रहे हैं, वो हर शख्स की मुख्तलिफ है. एक शख्स जो कि गांव से आया है, एक शख्स जो शहर से आया है, एक मर्द है, एक औरत है. जब मैं अल्फाज बोल रहा हूं तो आपके जहन में एक मुख्तलिफ शक्ल बन रही है. अगर मैं आपको ये बताऊं कि आप एक सेकंड के लिए अपने जहन में ये सोचें, ए और एप्पल, आपके जहन में एप्पल की शक्ल बनती है, एक सेब की शक्ल बनती है सबके जहन में. हाँ, if I ask you to draw your apple, I can bet that none of your apple would be identical with any other's apple. ठीक है? तो मेरा बताने का मकसद ये है कि आप सारे के सारे यहाँ पे इंतहाई अहम हैं और इसी सतह पे आप एक दूसरे से बहुत मुख्तलिफ हैं. This uniqueness of yours is your strength. you have to identify your uniqueness, your purpose, and then follow the path of the knowledge that can help you shine that uniqueness. ठीक है? और हम यहाँ पे आज आपके पास इसी मकसद के लिए आए हैं कि the kind of discourse we are going to generate, जो अल्फाज यहाँ से अदा किए जाएंगे, ये आपके जहनों में बैठकर एक मानी बनाएंगे। इन महानी को आपने जोड़कर एक अपना तशख़्ख़ुस, अपनी शनाख्त क्रिएट करनी है। I expect all the students sitting here to be able to write some beautiful thesis, some beautiful essays, some academic journals should publish your work and people out there in the world should read. And you hold something, technology in your hand where every one of you can be heard. ये पुराने ज़माने की बात नहीं थी कि आपको पब्लिश करने के लिए किसी पब्लिशर की जरूरत है। If you write something, you will be heard. You will be read. ठीक है? So with this, I end my talk and I say once again that I am thankful to the University of Gujarat, the Department of International Relations and Politics, all the faculty members and the dean for allowing us to join you in this struggle of knowing and building up that capacity that will help Pakistan and overall this entire world to be a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to invite our first speaker, Dr. Sultan Mubariz, Assistant Professor, University of Gujarat, on the topic Indo-US cooperation and its desired objectives. Sir.
Honorable guests, respectable chairpersons and faculty members, and dear students. The topic of presentation is Indo-US cooperation and its desired objectives. Next slide, please. India is spreading a number of ships under the indemnity. It is acknowledged by the world and the U.S. as one of the bright spots in the world today, both economically and geographically. India has also emerged as a leading strategic partner to many countries, including U.S., as evidently more than 24 partnerships agreements it has signed by several more on the offering. Next, please. So, what is going on between the U.S. and India? How they are enhancing their cooperative relationship? This overview includes the brief historical background. Then it would focus on the discussion of the shared objectives, how these objectives have been achieved by both the states, are they striving to achieve those objectives, and what is the future outlook. Next slide, please. U.S.-India relation can be divided into two phases. First phase belongs to the Cold War era. Second phase we can consider it as the post-Cold War era during the last decade of the 20th century, and the third decade is after 9/11 or during the 21st century. During the first phase, which is termed as the Cold War era, the United States and India could not become allies due to space. India's Prime Minister Jawahar was Nehru's policy of impartiality. And in fact, in that era, U.S. intended to cover a Marshall Alliance in Asia, a military and security alliance, which India was hesitant or elected to join. So, to reject these intentions of the USA by India at that time was considered as, you can say, formidable hindrance in the way of close ties between the US and India. But with the end of the Cold War, the world political and strategic scene transformed radically, changed global political and strategic and economic settings at new notions that international players pursued. At this juncture, India got prominence in Asia Pacific, mainly because of its democracy, policy of the economic pluralism, and a potential for military expansion. The Indian factor was never excluded from the Washington strategic plans in South Asia. So the Cold War, end of the Cold War, and the beginning of the new era provided the US a better opportunity to pursue its goal to forge a strategic alliance with the India. Because इस दौर में इंडिया ने दो तीन बड़े काम किए, एक उनका यह था कि उन्होंने अपनी इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी चेंज की, और उनकी पहले इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी थी वो टू मच सेंट्रलिज्म पर बेस्ड थी, ओपननेस नहीं थी, उसकी क्लोजनेस थी, और अब वो इन्वाइट कर रहे थे इंटरनेशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट को और कैपिटल इकोनॉमी को प्रमोट कर रहे थे, जिससे इंडिया की जो है बहुत बड़ी मार्केट के रूप में भी इमर्ज हुआ, और इसके साथ साथ इंडिया की कैपेसिटी भी बढ़ी फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट इन द डिफेंस सेक्टर. But the major breakthrough in the Indo-US relations took place after the 9/11. United States shifted its policies toward Asia and developed strategic and economic ties with India to make India a strategic hub in the Asian region. US foreign policy realized the importance of India in the Indian Ocean and developed stronger bilateral and strategic partnerships, rating its lead as a defining partnership of the 21st century, guided by convergent national interests. There are some other factors which we can say are significant to study or understand the US-Indo relationship. What they did to enhance the relationship or the cooperation is holding the joint exercises of military, joint operational activities, research, joint operational research, military exercises, co-development, co-production of the military weapons, machinery equipment, and nuclear growth of the economy. So, the third topic of the third content of the presentation is what are the common or shared objectives which brought closer to both the states. First is the halting of preparation of weapons of mass destruction. objective is to prevent the dissemination of weapons of mass destruction, thereby safeguarding global security and minimizing the risk of misuse of unauthorized entities. Second is the balance of power. Ensuring that no single power in Asia gains the ability to dominate the region. Our suppressors have applied passive tactics to jeopardize American terrorists. Basically, this point deals with to contain or to prevent the domination of China in the region. Third objective is addressing the dangers posed by the state sponsors of terrorism, who may resort to violence against civilians to achieve political goals. So this objective is mainly directed to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Third is the promoting democracy as strategic measure to prevent illiberal qualities from spreading their internal false abroad. Fifth, fostering peace by advancing economic development through the expansion of illiberal international economic order, liberal international economic order, and promoting increased global trade. Sixth objective is ensuring the security of vital sea routes and preventing illicit activities like drug trading, human smuggling, and the supply of weapons of mass destruction, securing energy resources through efficient markets, and collaboration by driving innovation in science and technology for the development of new energy sources, environmental safeguards, innovation, and resilience. So how these objectives have been achieved by both the states or they are trying to achieve? So the first objective is to prevent or to avoid proliferation, nuclear proliferation. The U.S.-India, United States made diplomatic concessions to India in the form of U.S.-India Civil Nuclear Agreement of 2008. Under the terms of the agreement, the United States lifted a raft of sanctions that it had imposed on India as a consequence of its nuclear test in 1998. In fact, USA acknowledged India as a nuclear state, but the basic objective was to prevent the military use of the nuclear weapons by India. Another achievement is the defense cooperation between India and Pakistan. In the last decade, India has worked emphatically to uplift in South Asia and grow as a contestant to China economically as well as militarily, with the desire to modernize the aging Indian armed forces. The Modi government started to invest heavily on its military build-up and to achieve its strategic objectives, India started to budget itself with the U.S. arms industry. And U.S. lavish support to India to achieve that objective. Many agreements are signed which broaden the Indo-US strategic and security relationships, especially the military assistance agreement of 2004. Extension of defense agreement 2005, partnership of co-development and co-protection 2012. US Senate overwhelmingly passed the $618 billion American defense budget for 2017 to clear the decks for India to contribute as a major defense partner. To To strengthen relationship further, Pentagon created an India Rapid Reaction Cell, which magnifies India's growing importance for the U.S. IRRC is operational for a few months now, is part of the efforts to pursue all aspects of DEDI. Both the countries took part in numerous military exercises. These are the detail is given here, but due to time constraints, I will not be able to discuss all it. The other area of the cooperation is the cyber security and technology cooperation. In 2001, Indo-US Cyber Security Forum was established. And in 2011, both New Delhi and Washington signed a memorandum of understanding that is related to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security with India's Department of Information Technology. The other area of cooperation is the counter-terrorism. The counter-terrorism giant working group has been launched by India and U.S. in 2000. They had meetings regarding this group once or twice annually. After Mumbai attack of 2010, the India-US counter-terrorism initiative was meant to promote intelligence sharing and capacity building activities and establish first homeland security dialogue in 2011. U.S. also promoted India as a stabilizing force in the South Asia. President Trump policies, especially much significant to improve the U.S.-Indo relationship. There are some of these agreements, significant agreements which are signed during the two past decades between India and Pakistan. First is the U.S.-India Civil Liberal Agreement of 2008, new framework for the U.S.-India Defense Relationship 2010, Defense Technology and Trade Initiative DDI 2012, U.S.-India Joint Strategic Vision for the Asian Pacific and Indian Ocean region 2015, Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Agreement 2016, Communication Compatibility and Security Agreement 2018, Industrial Security Alliance 2019, Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement 2020. So this had to achieve strategic cooperation, which fosters economic growth and trade. It also facilitates the science cooperation in the scientific technology and innovation, and it enables both the states to meet the global challenges, and it resulted in a greater cooperation between India and USA. So, with all this, I would like to conclude my presentation because I'm running short of time. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Now I would like to invite our second speaker, Dr. Naeem Salik. The topic is Indo-US cooperation, technological transfer and its implications for regional stability. Dr. Naeem Salik.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To begin with, I would also like to thank the University of Gujarat, the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, the Departments of International Relations and Political Science, the faculty and the students for giving us an opportunity to share our views with you today. You may find a few things which have already been covered being repeated, but I will try to pass over those and try to leave some time for discussion and question and answers. Let me begin with some of the historical facts which we need to understand as a background to understand Indo-US relations today. The United States always desired to have India as its friend. In fact, before the independence of the subcontinent in 1947, the United States had a representative in New Delhi since 1946, and he was actively trying to persuade the Indian political leaders as well as the British to somehow prevent the partition of India and not to allow the creation of Pakistan. They wanted India to be undivided, unified entity. So it should give you an idea that right from the beginning they were opposed to the conception of Pakistan. And then once Pakistan was created, they immediately had an ambassador in New Delhi, but for 1 year there was no ambassador in Karachi. And we have seen in recent times also that for the last 2-3 years there was no permanent ambassador in Islamabad. The current ambassador just joined a few months ago. So that should give you an idea of how much importance they gave to India and how much importance they gave to Pakistan. So once these two countries got independence, their desire was to hold India's hand as a friend. But as mentioned earlier also, Nehru chose the policy of non-alignment and he kept a distance from the United States. Whereas Pakistan, which because of its own security weaknesses needed external assistance to beef up its security, so Pakistan welcomed American act of friendship, and we entered into subsequently into defense agreements like SVI-UOG and CENTO, and then 1959 bilateral defense agreement. And that continued, but in 1962, while the Indo-China War started, the Americans came rushing into India, and even without consulting Pakistan, they started providing large quantities of arms and equipment to India. And in fact, the total volume and quantity of the ammunition and equipment and weapons which they had transferred to India in those days was enough to raise 9 new mounted divisions, which India duly raised, and then the same were used against Pakistan in 1965 and 1971 wars. So that background should be very clear that they have always, their first love always has been India, not Pakistan. And it was because of some compulsion that they had to come to Pakistan. For instance, during the First Afghan War, starting in late 70s to late 1980s, but as soon as that war finished, then we were subjected to Custer Amendment related sanctions, and the same thing has continued. After 9/11, they again came to us, but then later on, once they are now backed up from Afghanistan, they have not much interest left in Pakistan. So around the middle of 2005, India and US signed two landmark agreements on cooperation in defense and high technology. While the defense cooperation agreement was signed during Indian Defense Minister Pranab Mukherjee's visit to the US, the technological cooperation agreement was signed during Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's visit to Washington in July 2005. The latter agreement, which encompasses cooperation in peaceful nuclear technology, civilian applications of space technology, and dual-use technologies, which by all accounts was the brainchild of former US Ambassador to New Delhi, Robert Blackwell, and was conceptualized by Ashley Dallas, a reputed American analyst of Indian origin, and was pushed through the US administration by Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Apparently, it had the full backing of the Rumsfeld-led Department of Defense, while more skeptical Department of State was kept away from all this. To those who have been closely observing the trajectory of Indo-US relations in the post-Cold War era, these agreements should not have come as a surprise. India and the United States have institutionalized defense cooperation between the two countries through agreed minutes on defense cooperation signed in 1995, which intensified the exchange between the respective armed forces. At the strategic level, the process was carried forward through extensive Usman dialogue process initiated in the aftermath of the May 1998 nuclear test. On the political plane, the Clinton administration adopted the India First policy in South Asia, epitomized by Clinton's visit to the region in early 2000. If some of you remember it, Clinton spent 5 days in India and he spent 5 hours in Islamabad. And in that, he even refused to shake hands with Musharraf before the cameras, and he delivered a sermon to the Pakistani people from the premises of the US Embassy in Islamabad. And this was a very clear difference of the priorities which the Americans had set for the two countries. The Bush administration, largely unencumbered by Clinton's strong inclination toward the CTBT and other multilateral non-proliferation arrangements, pursued this policy with even greater vigor. National Security Strategy of the United States, unveiled in September 2002, called for developing agendas for cooperation actions with main centers of global power, which were identified as Russia, India, and China. The National Security Strategy elaborated that the administration sees India's potential to become one of the greatest democratic powers of the 21st century and has worked hard to transform our relationship accordingly, adding that the US has undertaken a transformation in its bilateral relationship with India. We are the two largest democracies committed to political freedom protected by representative government. India is moving towards greater economic freedom as well. We have a common interest in the free flow of commerce, including through the vital sea lanes of the Indian Ocean. And as you know, in recent years, they have in fact labeled India as the net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. Finally, we share an interest in fighting terrorism and in creating a strategically stable Asia. The stage was therefore set for the subsequent actions to translate these ideals into practical reality. This was followed by the announcement of the next steps in strategic partnership NSSP in January 2004 to expand cooperation in civilian nuclear activities, civilian space programs, and high technology, besides cooperation in PMD research and development. Again, just to remind you that once the United States decided to take away the ABM Treaty of 1972, They withdrew from it unilaterally in 2001. India was one of the first countries, even before the close US allies, to support this American decision, and thereby they became their partners in the BMG research and development. Joint statement issued on 18th of July 2005 during Manmohan's visit to the United States stated that Prime Minister's visit coincides with the completion of the NSSP initiative launched in January 2004. The two leaders agreed that this provides the basis for expanding bilateral activities and commerce in space, civil nuclear energy and dual-use technology. This was a clear statement of the fact that the goals and objectives set up for the next steps in strategic partnership have been achieved in the 1.5 years between January 2004 and July 2005. However, in what form these objectives were achieved was not clear, however. On the face of it, nothing of any significance had actually happened in either civil nuclear energy cooperation or cooperation in space technology, or even the dual-use technology. Unless, of course, anything substantive had happened secretly and was not in the public domain. There seems to be no basis for this strong claim. New framework for the U.S.-India defense relationship. The new framework for defense relationship was follow-up of the agreed minutes of defense cooperation that were signed in 1995 and had completed their administrative time frame of 10 years by 2005. The new agreement charted a course for U.S.-India defense relationship for the next 10 years. The shared security interests that were identified included the following: maintaining security and stability, defeating terrorism and violent religious extremism, preventing the spread of weapons of mass destruction and associated materials, data and technologies, protecting the free flow of commerce via land, air and sea lanes. The two countries had already been cooperating in many of the areas indicated above, and a mention of these constituted a reiteration of common goals. The picture becomes clear, however, when one looks at the actions envisaged for the achievement of these objectives. The important ones are: conduct joint and combined exercises and exchanges, collaborate in multilateral operations when it is in their common interest. Now this is very interesting language because it did not say participate in multinational operations, it said collaborate. Because India is very cleverly words these agreements. Once you say collaborate, that means you can cooperate, provide indirect assistance without actually physically participating in a joint military operation, which Indians have always resented. So they framed it in a way that there was no liability, no compulsion on them to physically participate under in any operation under the US flag. So they just said collaboration, which means they could provide indirect assistance. Strengthen the capabilities of the two militaries to promote security and defeat terrorism. Enhance capabilities to combat proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Now this is again, the wording is very interesting because to combat the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, there are two things. One is non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Other is the counter-proliferation or combating proliferation. That means this would also have the possibility of use of force. In these opportunities for technology transfer, collaboration in co-production and research and development. Expand collaboration relating to missile defense. That we know has been going on. The Indians have been attending the tests of missile defense technologies in America. They have attended tabletop exercises and there have been some sharing of technology as well. Contact exchanges on defense strategy and defense transformation. Continue strategic level discussion by senior leadership from the U.S. DOD and Indian MOD. You will have noticed in the past few years, now this strategic level discussion has now been institutionalized in the form of a 2+2 dialogue, where the American Secretaries of Defense and State meet their Indian counterparts every year, once in Delhi and second time in Washington. Agreement on nuclear cooperation, much has been said about it. This was signed during 18th of July visit by Manmohan Singh, and this was a major departure from the U.S. non-proliferation policy, because the policy was founded on the principle that America will not share nuclear technology with any country which has not signed NPT or has not accepted the full scope IAEA safeguards. And India did not fulfill these conditions. Despite that, they decided to give this assistance to India. And for that, they ultimately they had to change their own laws. The Atomic Energy Act was amended, and the famous 1-2-3 agreement was signed. Why it is called 1-2-3 agreement is because this amended the section 1-2-3 of the Atomic Energy Act of the United States to allow for the transfer of nuclear technology to India. The United States also promised to provide fuel for the Tarapur nuclear plant, which had originally been provided by US, but at some stage US had cut off the supply of fuel. Now India on its part gave some concessions in the form of separating its civilian and military nuclear programs, and out of the 16 unsafeguarded nuclear reactors it put 8 of those under IAEA safeguard voluntarily. However, 8 were kept out, but the most important thing from our point of view is that even those 8 reactors which were brought under IAEA safeguard, the spent fuel which they had generated over the years, that was not brought under safeguards. So that still remains unsafeguarded, and it can be diverted for use for the production of nuclear weapons. Now this kind of cooperation has continued. There have been joint naval exercises, the Malabar series of exercises, where Japan and Australia also participate. You have already heard about the Quad and other cooperation agreements, and this cooperation is expecting to have seen it that American Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, after attending the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, he made recently a visit to the Indian capital and met his counterpart. So this cooperation is growing in various fields, and it is expanding in diverse areas, in trade and in the purchase of weapons and equipment. Previously, India was totally dependent on its military equipment on the Russian weapons and equipment, but recently the purchases of American equipment have reached approximately $10 billion. There have been other agreements which have been mentioned in the first presentation, also the LEMOA, the BICA and others. BICA, for instance, is very important because it is an agreement which allows for the sharing of real-time intelligence gathered by the American intelligence sources like satellites and other intelligence means. That intelligence is to be shared, is now available to India, and India in return also shares whatever intelligence it gathers through its own sources. And it is now a well-known fact that the Americans shared with India the intelligence about the locations and movements of Chinese forces on the northeastern border as well as in the dark sector. So these kind of things are already happening in India, and in the future also this kind of intelligence information will have in the accurate targeting and guidance of India's long-range weapons like the ballistic missiles and long-range cruise missiles. So I leave it here, and whatever things which have been left unaddressed, you can have enough opportunity to ask during the question and answer session.
Thank you very much. We take Dr. Salik is currently Executive Director at Strategic Vision Institute, Islamabad, and he has taught at Qaidazam University, National Defence University, and TF University, Islamabad. He has been a visiting scholar at School of Advanced Studies, International Studies, SVI-UOG at John Hopkins University, and a guest scholar at the Brookings Institute, Washington, D.C. Besides being a visiting scholar at the Stanford University and Stimson Center, he has previously Director for Arms Control and Disarmament Affairs at the Strategic Planning Division. He has a PhD from University of Western Australia, and he has published 4 books, including 2 edited volumes and several monographs, and contributed 7 book chapters. His published work also includes over 40 research articles. Thank you very much, sir. You have honored us with your presence. Now I would like to invite our third speaker, Mr. Usman Ghani, lecturer at University of Gujarat. His topic is China's Maritime Strategy in South China Sea and the U.S. response.
Thank you very much. My topic is a bit different from the earlier speakers because I will be talking about China's maritime strategy in the South China Sea and its strategic competition with the U.S. Now, if we come to the importance of how can we define the South China Sea, basically, if you look at the Asia Pacific region as a whole, South China Sea is the waterway that connects the Indian Ocean with the Pacific Ocean. So the strategic importance of the South China Sea is that basically it is labeled as troubled waters because there are territorial disputes going on between China, Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, Indonesia, and the Philippines. So that would be clear in the next slide also. Now, like I said, that it is a geostrategically important, crucial waterways, sea lines of communication pass through it, and that connects the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. And another important thing is the trade that is going through the South China Sea, and it is estimated that $3.4 trillion of trade took part or passed through the South China Sea in 2016. That is almost 21% of the global trade. So that gives you an idea that how important the region is. And the other thing that it is contested, all these lines on the map basically show the contested areas. And the broader line, red line, is that of China, that almost claims the 80% of the South China Sea. And then you have the important countries as Vietnam and Philippines that contest with China. They are important because the United States has its own interests in the region and it has security pacts and alliance with Vietnam and Philippines, the South China Sea area. So coming towards the variables for China-US strategic competition in the South China Sea, I have listed three variables so that we can have other things we can talk in the question answer session. The first variable is that of the territorial claims and maritime disputes. The second variable is the military presence and power projection. And the third is the regional alliances and partnerships. Now coming towards the territorial claims and maritime disputes in the South China Sea. I have listed the different perspectives of China and the US in different. First, I want to be talking about the Chinese perspective, that how they see the territorial and maritime disputes in the South China Sea. China basically has historical claims to the South China Sea, and it asserts it's based on interpretation of historical records and ancient maps that China has. And it claims that these areas were under the jurisdiction of China historically. And then in 2016, we had China come up with the idea of the Naeem that you saw in the previous slide, where the China claims all of it. So China has claims sovereignty over the 9-9 and the demarcation line that encompasses vast maritime areas. Now, China has core interests and sovereignty issues in the area, and China considers its territorial claims in the South China Sea as a matter of core national interests and sovereignty. It views the disputed islands, reefs, and waters as an integral part of its territory. Next, China propagates non-interference and a bilateral approach to all these territorial issues. The thing is that China wants to avoid the involvement of the US on behalf of Vietnam and Philippines specifically, so that China can deal with these countries on a bilateral approach rather than bringing in the US as an actor in those issues. If we talk about some of the issues that China has with the rest of the countries, it's important to say that the rest of the claimants in the South China Sea had already some kind of presence in those areas, and China was the last one to build artificial islands in 2014 in the South China Sea. Previously, the Vietnamese and the Philippines had some reefs over there where they had jurisdiction over them. So China thought of coming into the area and building these artificial islands. That it started a project in 2014. But the Chinese project was a massive, they built massive land accumulation islands over there, but in a very limited period of time. The US perspective on these Chinese points is that basically the United States wants to preserve the regional stability, and the United States has vested interests in maintaining stability and security in the South China Sea, and it views China's assertive actions, including the construction of artificial islands and the militarization features, as destabilizing and undermining regional security. And basically the US seeks to counterbalance China's growing influence in the region and protect the interests of its allies and partners. Second thing is that the US wants to support for international rules and multilateralism. Like I talked about, that China is interested in resolving these disputes on a bilateral level. The US, on the other hand, wants to bring in more states into the all the states want to have some kind of agreement on a multilateral level, so that would somehow or the other offset the Chinese advantage of their economic and military rise over there. Next is basically U.S. interest in security alliance and partnerships. Like I said, that the United States has security alliance and partnerships with Vietnam and Philippines in the Southeast Asia region. Next is basically the military presence and power projection. And China's military strategy is that of military build-up and modernization. That we all know that China has been in a process of building a military since 2009. And after that, China has been rapidly making up a blue water navy. And at this point of time, China has the largest navy in the world with almost 351 principal combat ships, and the US is has the second largest navy with 294 principal combat ships. So that shows you that China already has surpassed the US in terms of military equipment, I would say. It is the largest navy in the world, but it is not perhaps the strongest. So there still remains a difference between the US and Chinese capabilities. Next, like I said, that China has the construction of artificial islands, and that basically Chinese have basically constructed and militarized those artificial islands, and now China has substantial military equipment over there that can help project its presence in the Far East. It includes airfields, radar systems, missile systems, and military barracks, and that basically fosters its power projection capabilities. Now basically maritime law enforcement is basically that China employs its maritime law enforcement agencies such as the China Coast Guard and the People's Armed Forces Maritime Militia to assert its claim and presence in the South China Sea. And these forces basically conduct patrols, assert control over disputed features, and engage in surveillance activities, further contributing to China's military presence. One more important thing I would like to mention is that China has been very cautious in its actions. Like it has been trying to avoid kind of escalation with other states, with the smaller states also, and with the US also. The Chinese do not want to escalate the things because that would basically go beyond. That does not fall under the Chinese grand strategy of having an economic and military build-up without going into war. So if they come into, if they go into war, that would ultimately affect their grand strategy of a peaceful kind of a rise, which the Chinese, this is the Chinese perspective. The next thing that the Chinese are doing is basically the anti-access and area denial strategy. That China has developed an anti-access area denial strategy to deter potential adversaries, including the United States, from interfering in its territorial claims in the South China Sea. And this strategy involves deploying advanced missiles, anti-ship ballistic missiles, fighter aircraft, and other assets to create a defensive perimeter and limit the operational freedom of foreign military forces in the region. Now, the response by the US to these Chinese activities has been basically that the US has been doing the freedom of navigation operations, and that is basically that the United States regularly conducts freedom of navigation operations in South China Sea to challenge excessive maritime claims and assert the principle of freedom of navigation. Now, these freedom of navigation operations basically means that the Americans with their ships basically come into contact with the Chinese Navy over there on those artificial islands and those in the South China Sea area. So the US wants to have that freedom of navigation and promotes these things. So there is, I would rather say, a frequent kind of interaction between US naval ships and the Chinese naval ships. But the interesting thing is this, that both the countries do not want to escalate the situation at this point of time, and it is more in the interest of China that it should not go into escalation with the Americans or any of the countries that are in dispute with it in South China Sea. The other actions by the Americans are basically the forward deployment, as the US maintains a significant military presence in the Asia-Pacific region, including bases in Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. And this presence basically allows for rapid response and power projection capabilities in the South China Sea. And the US Navy deploys aircraft carriers, submarines, and other naval assets to the region to maintain a visible deterrent and support regional stability. Now coming to it, this is the map of showing that where China basically wants to have its influence. The first line near to China is the first Iceland line that basically China wants to defend, and then the second one is coming from all the way from Japan into the Asia-Pacific region, and that is the second line of defense that the Chinese want to do. This is their plan that first they want to secure the first chain of Iceland and then on the second. So China has the capabilities at this point of time to send in their navies far from the Chinese main. Now coming towards my last basically element in the China-US strategic competition, and that is basically the regional alliances and partnerships of the US and China in South China Sea. For China, it has been talking about bilateral negotiations, and China basically primarily prefers bilateral negotiations with individual claimant states to address territorial disputes. It emphasizes direct negotiations, asserting its desire to resolve disputes peacefully through diplomatic channels, and China has pursued separate negotiations with countries such as Vietnam and the Philippines to manage the disputes bilaterally. And the dialogue mechanism, China has established dialogue mechanisms with ASEAN, including the ASEAN-China senior official meeting on the implementation of the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea. And these mechanisms basically facilitate communication, confidence building measures, and cooperation on non-traditional security issues. And then it is basically cooperative frameworks, and China promotes cooperative frameworks in the South China Sea, such as the Code of Conduct, negotiations with ASEAN member states, and the Code of Conduct aims to establish a set of guidelines to prevent conflicts, manage disputes, and promote maritime cooperation in the region. And bilateral economic cooperation, China engages in extensive economic cooperation with countries in the region through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, and these economic partnerships provide China with influence and leverage as it offers infrastructure investments, loans, and trade opportunities to its partners. The United States, on the other hand, has been, like I said previously, that they are in a treaty alliance and are forward treaty alliance with countries in the region, including Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, the Thailand, and Australia. These alliances provide a framework for security cooperation and mutual defense commitments. I would rather, my last point would be about the quadrilateral security dialogue that is otherwise called the Quad. That is, the United States along with Australia, India, and Japan participate in the Quad, an informal security forum. While not specifically focused on the South China Sea, the Quad aims to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific region. And the last one of the strategic partnerships of the US for the Asia-Pacific region is the AUKUS, and that is basically a trilateral security pact between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, which Under this pact, the US and UK will assist Australia in acquiring nuclear powered submarines. In my conclusion, I would rather say that to see China as a rising, I would rather say that China is already has risen and is a developed country now. And in spite of having those military capabilities of otherwise resolving its territorial disputes, like we have seen other states that have risen throughout the international history, that states want to have their hegemony in their regions. But China, I would rather say that does not show that kind of tendencies where it wants to become a hegemon, because it has risen to this state because of the international system in which it operated. And I would rather think that in the future we would see that the Chinese and the Americans coming together for having some kind of cooperation for the Asia Pacific region, where they would cooperate with each other rather than going into conflict. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are actually short of time. सेशन को ज़्यादा इंक्लूसिव बनाने के लिए आखिर में जो क्वेश्चन आंसर है उसके लिए हम टाइम बचाना चाहते हैं. Now I would like to invite our last speaker, Komal, research officer at SVI-UOG. Our topic is Pakistan in between U.S.-China Geo-Strategic competition, challenges and opportunities. Please,
This is Komal from SVI. I'm a research officer here. So you might find my presentation, some of the points overlapping with the previous ones. However, my presentation will make a comparison of India in between the US and China competition in comparison to China's interest. So the geostrategic competition in between the US and China, it underscores the fact that the world is moving from a unipolar order to a multipolar order, and this is going to create frictions in between the world and especially the medium powers. So while destabilizing the status quo in the region, this also creates opportunities as well as challenges for the medium powers, and Pakistan is definitely one of them. Coming to the challenges, the Indo-US partnership to contain China in the Indian Ocean region is the primary challenge to Pakistan's national security. In contemporary Great-Power competition, South Asia is referred to as Southern Asia by the Indians. However, that is definitely blunder to the geographical facts. So, it is emerging as the second most primary arena in order to conduct that theater for U.S.-China competition. So, here we can see 3 competitive as well as 2 competitive diets. The competitive diets here include U.S.-China, second, China and India, and the third one is Pakistan and India. The competitive diets operating here, we definitely see the Indo-US cooperation and the Pakistan-Chinese cooperation. While these competitive diets create a competitive geostrategic environment, it produces a complex set of consequences for Pakistan, primarily in the South Asian region. So, here, this has offered opportunities to Americans. Why? Because India's economy, the economy of India, since Indo-US cooperation, is growing at an average rate of 6 to 7% per year. And this is definitely a market for the American technology and especially the power reactors. The partnership has resulted in India's great economic potential, definitely. This is why the US finds India as the only meaningful competitor to China in the region. And second, India's well-placed diaspora abroad is definitely a contributor to the soft power influence of China over the world and specifically in the Asia-Pacific region. definitely India. Why? Because the naval power of India is comparatively better in the region in comparison to China. So it offers a counterforce to the PLA Navy. Therefore, India is designated by the United States as the national security provider in the region and has been placed as a key or important member of the Quad. Here I would like to tell you that the U.S. has entered into another Quad. Definitely that is minus Indo-Strategic. Let's be hopeful that is an opportunity for Pakistan. Moreover, the Indo-US strategic partnership is primarily driven by India's economic potential. Why? Because the sale of weapons, power reactors, these offer competition to Chinese growing nuclear capabilities, especially in the domain of maritime or the submarines. So, besides the established alliance of the United States in the region, India is a significant partner. It is not an ally, it's a partner because of the counterforce capabilities that India has. So, since 2008, India has purchased over $21 billion of military technology benefiting from the partnership that India has with the United States. Consequently, West is now hopeful that India is going to have a capability to counter China in the region. It exposes the region to a true two-front war. What is a two-front war? That is basically a challenge as an opportunity for Pakistan. Coming to challenge amid the India-China competition, any capability is significant. Any capability that India bears against China is definitely going to be used against Pakistan. So it definitely threatens the national security of Pakistan, the sovereignty. It creates a conventional asymmetry in terms of technology in South Asia and builds the case for arms race. Because to maintain a credible deterrence against India, it is the objective and a national security imperative for Pakistan. Next, the pressure that Pakistan has to respond to the dynamics of military buildup, it is an opportunity for Pakistan because the strategic partnership that Pakistan has with China is definitely going to impact Pakistan's technological buildup, as the technology that we have achieved from Turkey and China during this time of competition, it is basically unprecedented in history in terms of military technology and submarine technology. The Indo-US nuclear deal, that is the very significant aspect of this India-China competition. With the US as the basic stakeholder, it provides India with the MSG waivers and it gives a de facto recognition to India's nuclear program outside of the NPT. This is unprecedented edge that has been given to India. Consequently, the Indians, they have now been concentrating, openly focusing on their nuclear program, and we have been seeing the offensive kind of nuclear language that India has been using against Pakistan or in the region. Here I would like you all to see the statements of the writings of S.K. Tallis, and also the Vipin Nair, how they are promoting they are drawing the proponents of Pakistan, of India's nuclear program or the policy in order to manipulate the international stakeholders just to surrender to the demands of the Indians. They are actually campaigning for the assumption of nuclear testing, which is definitely going to create an asymmetry and is posing the region to nuclear war. So, India is becoming belligerent while benefiting from the India-US and Chinese competition. Here, if we make a comparison to India's soft regarding the nuclear balance or against the belligerent India, and we have to just propagate our security concerns, and that will need to be done by establishing ourselves in international think tanks and universities. Therefore, the four foundational arguments which have been discussed earlier, they are like threatening the security of Pakistan in the region. So, U.S.-China strategic competition, it has complicated Pakistan's option to maintain ties with both the United States and China by compelling Pakistan to choose between maintaining increased economic and security cooperation with China and also collaborating on these issues with the United States and the international community at large. It is in Pakistan's national interest to avoid any potential pressure from the international sides amid this U.S.-China rivalry. So managing Pakistan's bilateral relationships with the U.S. and China at the same time is need of the time in order to balance strategically from the ongoing rivalry. At the same time, it is an opportunity based on the racial gap, and this management will enable Pakistan to avail simultaneously security and economic benefits with mutually beneficial bilateral partnerships with the United States and China. A successful hedging here between the competing states of the US and China is both a challenge and an opportunity for Pakistan, as it would allow Pakistan to balance foreign policy without needing to compromise its national interest for the interests of any other foreign power. Hence, the contemporary great power competition in the region, it offers opportunities as well as challenges. If Pakistan can successfully achieve economic stability as well as political stability, only then Pakistan would be enabled to benefit from the ongoing U.S.-China competition in the region. If it does not happen, Pakistan's geostrategic location is definitely going to be a liability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Now, House is open for question and answer session. आप लोगों से गुजारिश है कि आपका सवाल मुख्तसर होना चाहिए, टू द पॉइंट, और अपना इंट्रोडक्शन करवाएं, और अगर किसी स्पीकर को नॉमिनेट करना है तो उनको भी कर सकते हैं. You can raise your hand for questions.
Sir, what are the policy options
in China to counter hegemonic policies of India-US relations?
Thank you. Okay, one more question. जी बच्चों, जी. You can stand up, please.
About हमने बताया कि USA ने somehow sort of turned किया India को for the 1962 war and used it against Pakistan. हालांकि इंडिया ने सिर्फ Sherman tanks या फिर 1911 पॉलिसी या फिर शायद मंगाई गई US से. Later the shipments that were from Britain, that was from France or sort of from USSR. So was it plausible? और सेकंड चीज ये कि अब की जो चेंजिंग पावर स्ट्रक्चर है उसमें एक नया किरदार उभर के सामने आ रहा है यूएस और चाइना के सिवा इंडिया की. तो हु हैज मोर पावर? पाकिस्तान. इसकी तरफ पाकिस्तान को टिल्ट होना चाहिए इन टर्म ऑफ स्ट्रेटेजिक बेनिफिट. थैंक यू.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर. मेरा नाम नवाज है. फोर्थ सेमेस्टर IFS स्टूडेंट हूँ. सर मेरा सवाल ये है कि जब यूएस के काफ़ी चीज़ों में हमने ध्यान सुना, जब पीसफुल टाइम होता है तो यूएस के रिलेशंस जो इंडिया के साथ ज़्यादा होते हैं. जब वॉर का टाइम आता है तो यूएस की जो रिलेशन पाकिस्तान के साथ ज़्यादा होते हैं. जैसा कि मैं लेवल के बाबा पूरे पाकिस्तान की तरफ उसके सब कुछ जो है उसको मतलब प्रेफर किया गया था. तो इसकी क्या वजह है? फिर भी हम यूएस की तरफ ज़्यादा अट्रैक्ट क्यों होते हैं? इसकी क्या वजह है सर?
और क्वेश्चन लेना है? one more question.
और मेरा सवाल जो है वो सर उस्मान से है कि आपने बोला कि चाइना जो है वो एस्केलेशन की तरफ नहीं जाएगा, जबकि अगर रिसेंट इंसिडेंट्स हम लोग देखें जैसे यूएस का सर्विस प्लेन था और उसके सामने चाइना का जो फाइटर जेट था पाया, और इसके अलावा जो रिसेंट उनकी जमीना कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी उन्होंने इन्विटेशन को डिनाई कर दिया, और यूएस की जो पॉलिसी है उसके ऊपर वो बार बार ये बोल होते हैं कि चाइना का पीयर कॉम्पिटिटर. तो इसके लिहाज से और चाइना की जो अब्रॉड उनकी इंक्रीज हो रही है वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उनकी पॉलिसी जो है वो एक्सर्ट कर रहे हैं. तो हम कैसे कह सकते हैं कि वो एस्केलेशन और कॉन्फ्लिक्ट की तरफ नहीं जाएगा? और जो भी चाइना की इसकी डेबिट के हवाले से पॉलिसी है कि किस तरह से उनकी एक्सरसाइज को डिस्टर्ब कर रहा होगा और बार बार उसकी जो सबमरीन आ रही होती है, तो हम किस तरह से कहेंगे कि चाइना जो है उसकी इकोनॉमिक डिजायर्स नहीं है?
Okay. First question was about Kashmir issue. And we talked about abrogation of Article 370. Remember, there was another article which was abrogated, that was Article 35A. Whereas Article 370 is about the autonomous status of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Article 35A is even more serious because that was there to protect the change of demographic structure of Kashmir state. And it did not allow non-Kashmiris to purchase property, land or any other thing inside Kashmir or to settle down there. That is more important, 35A. But in any case, both 35A and 370, they are articles of Indian Constitution. Sometimes we take illogical positions. We criticize and why they have to, these were articles of their constitution. This was not a bilateral agreement between Pakistan and India. Our focus should be on the UN resolution. Incidentally, can anyone of you, all those who have read the UN resolutions on Kashmir, please raise your hands. Just imagine, we all the time, day in and day out, we talk about UN resolutions and these are not being implemented and why they are not being implemented, but nobody has even read those. So please try to find out, these are available, please read the text, what were the resolutions about, and there were so many other things also. So sometimes we tend to oversimplify the things. And why should we be insisting too much on Indian constitution? That was the relationship with Indian state established with the state of Jammu and Kashmir pending the final resolution of Kashmir. So if they have removed those, it is between the Kashmiris and the Indians. Our concern is about the international agreement that is in the form of UN Security Council resolution where India committed to hold a plebiscite. But that had several conditions. One of the conditions was demilitarization of Kashmir, which required Pakistan to withdraw its forces from its part of Kashmir. Then India will withdraw its forces gradually, keeping a portion of its force to maintain internal law and order in Kashmir and to help in the organization of the plebiscite. That became the contentious point, because at one point one of the UN mediators suggested that India should maintain 18 to 20,000 forces and Pakistan should maintain about 4,000 paramilitary forces or police forces. And the Indians insisted that if this is the police force, they should not carry anything more than sticks. So that became the problem. Now if you look at the situation, those who have been to Kashmir border, you will realize that it's not all that simple. If you are told today to withdraw your forces from Kashmir and then hoping for India to withdraw its forces in turn so that plebiscite would be held, it will be a huge risk because both forces are deployed facing each other at a very short distance. You move out and they could just move in and fill your place, and then it will be impossible to destroy them. So there are lots of complications and problems. Take a wholesome look of this and let's not deal with this subject on the basis of emotions or hearsay. As students of political science and international relations, we need to read the treaties, agreements, UN documents, and then understand the whole perspective of the issue. Then make any comments. Second question was about 1962 and whether America provided more equipment or Britain provided. Both of them provided equipment, but the biggest contribution was from the United States. And there are certain facts which are not known to us. Despite the fact that Pakistan was the US ally, at one time Pakistan was called the most allied of the US allies, because there were several agreements we had with them. And then the time came when Pakistan was the most sanctioned of the US allies. But in between, while they did not have very close relations with India and they were close to Pakistan, even at that time, the volume of economic assistance to India was far greater than what was given to Pakistan under PF-480 and other agreements. So these should be known to us. We should know the reality and then think about it. Another aspect which is not known to us, the Indians talk a lot about the Enterprise Task Force coming into Bay of Bengal in 1971 for assistance of Pakistanis in East Pakistan. And they would never talk, and we also do not highlight this fact, probably because we do not know it, that in 1962 the same task force had moved into Bay of Bengal to help India in its war against China. These are the realities, and we should be aware of those facts and then make any comments or analysis or break up our mind on these. So try to go through these things in detail. The third thing is about peace and comment about Americans have peacetime friendship with India and in wartime they come running to Pakistan. It depends where the war will go on. If the war is in Afghanistan, which is a landlocked country, there is no other way for them to reach Afghanistan unless Pakistan allows them the access through its territory. Iran would not allow them, and they cannot come through Central Asia because then they have to come through Russia. So the only option was Pakistan. After 9/11, interestingly, Mr. Vajpayee was the first leader to offer America its naval and air bases for an impending operation in Afghanistan. But obviously it was impossible because of geography. Even if they had come into India, they could not have reached Afghanistan without flying over Pakistan or going through Pakistan. So they had to seek Pakistan's assistance. They needed Karachi port to bring their equipment and take it through Pakistani ports to Afghanistan. Similarly, they needed the corridors, flight corridors for their aircraft. So that is the reason. Otherwise, there is no other reason. And again in 1979-89, Russian invasion time in Afghanistan, again Pakistan became the conflict because even before the Americans came in, Pakistan had already started supporting the Ghani. Remember the first aid package we got was after 1.5 years of the Russian invasion of Afghanistan. And till that time, Pakistan was supporting the effort of the Mubariz in Afghanistan. So, one, Pakistan was already involved, and there was no other way because there was the Iranian revolution in 1979 that was inaccessible to the Americans. So again, there was no option but to go to Pakistan. So that is how it is. These are realities of the geography. And I would suggest to all of you, as students of international relations, political science, have a good world map or a globe on your study table, because that should be imprinted in your mind. Unless you can see the geographical interrelationship between the countries, you cannot understand international relations, strategy or politics. Thank you.
We can have another set of questions.
I want to say that my idea is that China is being more assertive now. But previously, if you look at China, it had a policy of shelving the disputes and not going into conflict with other states. And it had a policy of moderation. It wanted to keep a moderate kind of attitude towards its territorial disputes with all of the states, like with India also, in South China Sea also. But that policy, perhaps China, according to the Chinese perspective, that policy was not helping China in resolving those disputes, and the other states were demanding more from China. So now, when China has the economic and the military muscle, it is now trying to be more assertive, but in no manner is China trying to be a hegemon or trying to dominate other states. It is still keeping a very, it's more assertive than before, but it's not in the interest of China to go into a war or into a armed conflict with any of the states, because that would invite the U.S. presence in the region more. So it's assertive, but it would try to avoid war with any of the states, and especially the U.S. I hope I answered your question.
We can have another set of questions quickly if you want to ask. Yes.
But for that, we have to make more ties with US. But in current situation, we are seeing that Pakistan are more inclined toward China and makes more and more agreement and political and diplomatic statement regarding to China. So how we can see that the health option will be implemented under these steps and policies of Pakistan?
Any other questions?
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, माय नेम इज मबरीज। जो मेरा सवाल है, हम बात कर रहे हैं US-China Geo-Strategic कंपटीशन की। इस वक्त मेनली हमारा जो फोकस है वो साउथ एशिया और इंडियन ओशन पे है। अगर इसमें हम देखें तो जो US है उसका टेरिटरी है इंडिया के साथ, मतलब कॉपरेशन के लिहाज से इस कंपटीशन में, और चाइना पाकिस्तान के लिहाज से। लेकिन जो इंडिया ने अगर US के साथ कॉपरेट किया है तो इंडिया राइज कर गया है, लेकिन पाकिस्तान ने बेशक चाइना के साथ ट्रेड किया हुआ है लेकिन वो उस तरह से राइज नहीं कर सका। मेनली मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे डॉक्टर नईम साहब ने बोला कि अमेरिकन इंटरेस्ट अफगान वार के अंदर की वजह से पाकिस्तान कम हो गया, लेकिन चाइना का जो इंटरेस्ट है पाकिस्तान का वो सीपैक की और पीआरआई की वजह से बढ़ गया। तो फ्यूचर में हमें इसी पॉलिसी में रहना चाहिए मल्टीलेटरल, थोड़ा सा यूएस की तरफ, थोड़ा सा चाइना की तरफ, यहाँ पे हमें बायलैटरल होना चाहिए, एक की तरफ ट्रेड करना चाहिए, चाइना की तरफ या यूएस की तरफ।
Okay. We may have one more question. No.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Bhavya Nasir from my airport. My question is कि how can Pakistan limit the U.S.-China strategic competition to its advantages in terms of economic growth and development?
जी सर,
मेरे ख्याल से ये जो तीनों क्वेश्चन है ना, ये आपस में इंटरकनेक्टेड है सारे। बेसिक चीज जो मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, हमारा प्रॉब्लम पाकिस्तानीज का ये है कि हम इंटर स्टेट रिलेशंस को इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशंस के साथ उसको देखते हैं उसी लेवल पे। ये मेरे दोस्त हैं, उनके साथ मेरी लड़ाई है तो ये उनके साथ भी कुछ करते हैं, उनके साथ बात भी करते हैं। इंटर स्टेट रिलेशन में ऐसे नहीं होता। इंटर स्टेट रिलेशन में स्टेट्स ऑलवेज फॉलो देयर इंटरेस्ट। दूसरी चीज ये होती है कि जब अगर आपके इंटरेस्ट किसी स्टेट के साथ कोइंसाइड करते हैं तो दे विल कोऑपरेट विद यू, जब नहीं कोइंसाइड करेंगे तो दे विल नॉट बॉदर मच अबाउट यू। अमेरिका के साथ यही है, हम कहते हैं कि जिनको उन्होंने रिड्यूस किया, पैटर्न कर दिया, हमने अपने लिए खुद प्रॉब्लम्स खड़े किए। जब हमारे एग्रीमेंट हुए थे सीक्रेट सेक्टर, those agreements were to prevent the expansion of communism in this area. Those were not against India. हमने अपनी तरफ से झूठ कर दिया या अपने आप को धोखा दिया। We went into deluding ourselves कि जी अगर इंडिया के साथ लड़ाई होगी तो अमेरिका हमारी मदद को आ जाएगा। तो जब 65 में वो नहीं आए, जब दिमाग में नहीं आए, तो फिर हमने कहा कि उन्होंने धोखा दे दिया, क्योंकि धोखा करते हैं एक्चुअली खुद अपने आप को। We were having expectations which were not realistic. These agreements were never meant for that purpose, for which we wanted to use them. तो एक तो ये चीज है, इस चीज को आप हमेशा ख्याल रखें कि कोई किसी का आपके साथ रिश्तेदारी नहीं है, कोई ब्लड रिलेशन नहीं है। It is a matter of interest. There is no permanent friendship and interest relation. It is only permanent interest. जहाँ इंटरेस्ट होता है वहाँ वो मिल जाते हैं। अब यूएस इंडिया के इस वक्त इंटरेस्ट, इंडिया में यूएस का इंटरेस्ट जो है नंबर 1 इकोनॉमिक इंटरेस्ट है, बिकॉज इट इज ह्यूज मार्केट। इस वक्त वो चाइना को भी क्रॉस कर दिया पॉपुलेशन में। इट इज द मोस्ट पॉपुलस कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड एंड इट इज ग्रोइंग विद पोटेंशियल अक्रॉस मार्केट में। सो अमेरिकन सी इट एज ए ह्यूज मार्केट। एक चीज दूसरी है कि वो स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट तो दोनों साइड का है। इंडिया फिट्स इनटू देयर पॉलिसी ऑफ कंटेनमेंट ऑफ चाइना। तो इसलिए इसलिए इंडिया में उनका इंटरेस्ट उधर फोकस चला गया। आप ये देखें कि जब कोल्ड वॉर का पीरियड था, जब हम अलाइज से अमेरिका के, उस वक्त स्पाइक प्लान की थ्योरी थी रिमलैंड की, फॉर द कंटेनमेंट ऑफ सोवियत यूनियन एंड एक्सपेंशन ऑफ कम्युनिज्म। तो उस रिमलैंड में हम लोग देखते थे पाकिस्तान, ईरान, इराक, टर्की की एक नेशन बनती थी जिनको सबको अलायंस रिलेशनशिप में अमेरिकन और वेस्ट ने दे दिया। इंडिया ने उसे रिफ्यूज कर दिया बिकॉज दे डिसाइडेड टू स्टे न्यूट्रल। अब इंडिया जो वांट टू प्ले द गेम, वो उसमें शामिल होने के तो उसका इंटरेस्ट भी वो इंसाइड कर रहा है। लेकिन ये याद रखें कि इंडिया अमेरिका के टैरिफ के ऊपर कभी चाइना से लड़ाई नहीं करेगा। और वो आपने देख लिया होगा कि किसी लेक्चर भी किया था किसने नेशनल टेररिस्ट का आर्टिकल आप पढ़े फॉरेन अफेयर्स में, तो यही इंडिया को वो अमेरिका को कह रहा है कि ज्यादा तो ऊपर ना रखे इंडिया से, क्योंकि इंडिया को आप जो प्रतिकोषी करेंगे, इंडिया इसी हद तक चाइना को चैलेंज कर सकता है कि उनकी अपनी लिमिटेशन है, उनकी अपनी कंडीशन है, उससे ज्यादा वो नहीं करेंगे। इन्हें वे वो ये कह रहे हैं टाइटल तो बड़ा प्रोवोकेटिव है, अमेरिका बैड बैड ऑफ इंडिया, लेकिन अंदर जो उसने बात किया वो ये कह रहा है कि भाई ज्यादा तो अपना रखो और वो नहीं करते तो उसको समझने की कोशिश करो, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड देयर लिमिटेशन, ठीक है। तो ये बात होती है। अब चाइना पाकिस्तान में ये है कि आप देखें जस्ट लुक एट द मैप व्हिच वाज शोन टू यू साउथ चाइना सी के, उसमें अब अगर आप मलाक्का स्ट्रेट को देखें क्लोजली, इट इज अ वेरी नैरो पैसेज, और उधर जब चाहे वो चाइना की सारी ट्रेड उधर से गुजरती है बोथ वेज, जब चाहे अमेरिकन को ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं क्योंकि इनके सारे उनके फ्रेंडली कंट्रीज हैं। और उसके बाद फिर आगे वहां से मलाक्का स्टेट से निकले आगे अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड से चेन आ गए, तो बेचारे इंडियन आइलैंड, तो वहां से उनको जब भी चाहे वो डिस्टर्ब कर सकते हैं वहां से। इसलिए वो चाइना के तो बड़ा लंबा लगता है, खासतौर पे जो प्रोडक्ट्स उनकी वेस्टर्न चाइना में अगर जो बनती है चीज, तो 5-6 आदमी तो चाइना के अंदर ट्रेवल करें और शंघाई और ईस्टर्न सी पोर्ट की पोर्ट पे जाए, वहां से फिर साउथ चाइना सी से घूम के तो 10-15 दिन में वो मिडिल ईस्ट में पहुंचेगा। अब ये अगर ये सी पैक बन जाता है कॉरिडोर, तो यहाँ से स्ट्रेट में वो मिडिल ईस्ट में पहुंच जाते हैं। अगर मलाक्का स्ट्रेट ब्लॉक हो जाती है तो अल्टरनेटिव को रूट मिलता है। इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट है उनका बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट टू कीप देयर विंडो टू द आउटसाइड वर्ल्ड ओपन, अगर ब्लॉक की दूसरी साइड से उठे और ये शॉर्ट होती है, दैट इज देयर इंटरेस्ट। कोई उनको पाकिस्तान से कोई ऐसी मोहब्बत नहीं है कि वो पाकिस्तान की मोहब्बत में बने जा रहे हैं, बैठ के खाने खा रहे हैं रोमांटिक किस्म के, ऐसी बात नहीं है। दे आर वेरी बिजनेस लाइक पीपल, उनका बड़ा रियलिस्टिक अप्रोच है, लेकिन ये उनको वहां फायदा करना चाहता है, इसलिए वो पाकिस्तान के साथ ज्यादा इसमें इंटरेस्ट आते हैं। और उनके डिफेक्टिव से लिक्विडिटी है, फिर एक और चीज है कि वो कॉमन एनिमी इंडिया भी है यहाँ, तो इन सब चीजों से मिलकर वो इंटरेस्ट को साइड कर रहे हैं, तो वो पार्टनरशिप है अपनी। लेकिन एक चीज याद रखें कि चाइनीज ने कभी पाकिस्तान को प्रेशराइज नहीं किया कि क्योंकि आपकी हमारे साथ दोस्ती, आप अमेरिका के साथ दोस्ती ना करें। 9/11 के बाद आप अपने अमेरिकन का दोस्ती चाइनीज ने उसके ऊपर कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं किया, ना ही फायदा करेंगे। लेकिन हमने बैलेंस करना है, सम टाइम इट इज यूजफुल टू लर्न फ्रॉम योर एनिमीज आल्सो। इंडिया की आप पॉलिसी देखें, कोल्ड वॉर में उन्होंने दोनों से फायदा उठाया, सोवियत यूनियन से भी अमेरिका से भी। अब देखिए उनकी पॉलिसी की अमेरिका के साथ वो कितने एग्रीमेंट यहाँ आपको सुनाए गए बताए गए हैं और कितनी क्लोज उनकी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है। उसके बावजूद उन्होंने रशिया को कंडेम नहीं किया यूक्रेन वॉर के ऊपर, और रशिया के से इस वक्त वो दे आर द बिगेस्ट परचेजर ऑफ रशियन ऑयल, क्योंकि वो अपना एक इकोनॉमिक इंटरेस्ट सेफगार्ड कर रहे हैं, वो ले रहे हैं उनसे। वो ब्रिक्स में भी चाइना और रशिया के साथ बैठे हुए हैं और SCO में भी बैठे हुए हैं। तो ये होती है वर्ल्ड पॉलिसी सक्सेसफुल कि रशिया भी जो है वो आप बात करें उनसे तो वो इंडिया को नाराज नहीं करना चाहते, ना अमेरिका को नाराज करना चाहते हैं। तो हम तो खुद ही आगे से नाराज होकर बैठ जाते हैं, लड़ाई कर देते हैं कि इन्होंने उससे भी बात की है तो आपको पता है कि चाइना की 120 बिलियन डॉलर ट्रेड है इंडिया के साथ, और ये 100 बिलियन से 120 बिलियन पे गई है आफ्टर दी लद्दाख कॉन्फ्लिक्ट। इसके दरमियान के 20 बिलियन से 30 बिलियन उसमें एडिशन हुई है। तो हर मुल्क अपना इंटरेस्ट देखता है। हम लोग जो है वो पता नहीं, हम तो अपने दुश्मन साथ से बड़े खुद है, वो हम कोर्ट करते हैं बड़ा ने कहा कि नो पावर ऑन अर्थ कैन नॉट डू पाकिस्तान। तो मैं कहता हूँ उसके नीचे ऐड कर देना चाहिए एक्सेप्ट द पाकिस्तानी, क्योंकि उससे ज्यादा जितना डैमेज हम अपना करते हैं और कोई नहीं कर सकता। तो ये अपनी चीजें को सीखना पड़ेगा, करना पड़ेगा कि आप सबके साथ लगातार अच्छे बना के रखें, बैलेंस रखें, अमेरिका के साथ भी रखें, चाइना के साथ भी रखें, रशिया के साथ भी रखें। एक जब आप बैलेंस रखेंगे तो आपकी ऑप्शन बढ़ जाती है, कोई मुल्क आपको ऊपर प्रेशर डाल के फिर आपसे अननेसेसरी डिमांड भी कर सकता, कंसेशन भी मांग सकता। तो ये चीज ध्यान रखें। फॉरेन पॉलिसी एक बड़ा एक डिफरेंट मैटर है, ये महल्ले की या बरादरी की रिश्तेदारों की सियासत नहीं है।
ये सारी जो बातचीत आपने की है, इसकी बुनियादी अगर एक ऐसी चीज को अगर आप समझ जाएं तो वो इस सारे मसले को हल कर देगी। वो ये है कि नेशनल इंटरेस्ट होता है, वो भी मुफाद होता है, वो कैसे आर्टिकुलेट होता है, वो कैसे बनता है। स्टेट के अंदर जो स्टेट है वो एक यूनिट रिएक्टर है, तो उसके अंदर इख्तिलाफात होते हैं। कश्मीर पॉलिसी के ऊपर भी मुख्तलिफ राय हो सकती है, चाइना और अमेरिका के ऊपर भी मुख्तलिफ राय हो सकती है। तो ये कंटेस्टेशन जो है, मुख्तलिफ कॉन्टेस्ट होते हैं विद इन स्टेट, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होती हैं, डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं, मिनिस्ट्रीज होती हैं, इदारे होते हैं, इंडिविजुअल्स होते हैं, इनकी आपस में लड़ाई होती है, इख्तिलाफात होते हैं, और वो झगड़ा ये गलत नहीं है, होना भी चाहिए, कॉन्टेस्टेशन होती है। इसके बाद फिर एग्रीगेशन होती है। एग्रीगेशन की होती है कि इन सारों को मिला के कुछ झुकाओ इस तरफ, कुछ इस तरफ, एक आप वर्किंग सोल्यूशन बना दे। तो डिबेट जो है बिजनेस सोसाइटी अगर ना हो तो ना कंटेस्टेशन को अलाउ करते हैं, ना एग्रीगेशन होती है, और इंडिविजुअल इंटरेस्ट जो है वो भी नेशनल इंटरेस्ट के अंदर इन्फ्यूज होता है। एक चीज जो कंट्रोवर्शियल है वो समझे आप, एक फर्क जो है वो स्टेट के अंदर मौजूद रहता है और उस फर्क का इंटरेस्ट स्टेट से अलग नहीं हो सकता। जब कोई नेशनल लीडर किसी एक पोजीशन को ऑक्युपाई करता है तो उसकी इंडिविजुअलिटी एकदम गायब नहीं रहती, वो वहां पे मौजूद रहता है, उसका एक अपना पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट होता है और वो इन्फ्यूज हो जाता है नेशनल इंटरेस्ट के अंदर भी। तो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के स्टूडेंट्स को याद रखना चाहिए, देयर इज अ लेवल ऑफ एनालिसिस अप्रोच, जिसमें आप इंडिविजुअल लेवल की चीज को स्टडी करते हैं, फिर स्टेट लेवल की चीज को स्टडी करते हैं, फिर आप रीजनल को स्टडी करते हैं और फिर इंटरनेशनल लेवल को। तो इन चीजों को जब आप इंटर रिलेट करके समझेंगे तो फिर अपनी पॉलिसी ऑप्शंस को भी, पॉलिसी चॉइसेस को भी आप समझेंगे, और फिर कैसे स्टेट उसको मैनेज करती है। ये फिर जैसे सालिक साहब ने कहा कि मोर ऑफ स्टेट रिलेशनशिप, ये लेस ऑफ अ पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप। तो आई होप कि इंशाल्लाह इस तरह आप अपनी जो बड़ी जबरदस्त, आई थिंक आई विश वी हैड मोर टाइम, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी आर आउट ऑफ इट। सो थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, sir. Here we end our question and answer session. Now I would like to request our Honorable Dean, Professor Dr. Faisal Mahmood Mehta, for concluding remarks. Sir.
Very respected guests, Dr. Nasir, please, Dr. Naeem, Salik sir, Mr. Sultan, thank you very much for visiting the University of Gujarat. I am grateful Dr. Usman Shahid, Sultan Mubariz, Usman for making presentations, and my dear students, I hope कि आज का experience बहुत अच्छा। You had many things to learn. I am not a student of political science or international relations, but I had a number of things that would add to my knowledge, especially when it came to the relationship between U.S., Pakistan, India and China. This is definitely a very complex issue
which cannot be discussed in every aspect only in one sitting, but this is a very timely initiative of the Department of Political Science and Dr. Mushtaq Saab, that you have chosen this very interesting topic for today's talk, and we can have many talks on this topic to really dissect it in more detail in future. So I congratulate all the faculty members of the Political Science and International Relations Department for attending this seminar. You see, when I look at this issue, and definitely very rightly pointed out by Dr. Naeem, relations between countries are not like our personal relations. Countries are not relatives. This is a pure game of your economic benefits and your strategic benefits. You cannot cut off yourself from the world. You have to maintain a balance. And creating a balance for Pakistan has always been difficult since its independence. And this is mainly because of the stratification where we are really located on the global map. You know, we are having borders with some of the big powers, global powers. On one side we have China, on the other side we have a very big and now, the most populous country in the world, that is India. Then we have some, the other issues with our neighbors. For example, we have our own issues with Iran. You see, and so these are all the problems. Then we have Afghanistan. So these are all the very different kind of countries located right across our borders, and we have to deal with all of them with a very different kind of own Pakistani attitude. So this is one issue. China and India are not having very good diplomatic relations, as many of you said. They are competing with their interests when it comes to the relations between India and China. But you see, India is the biggest trade partner to China at the same time. They have never stopped trading. One of the videos you might have also have come across after the Sultan incident was that people in India were burning Chinese flags. And at the same time, trade between the two countries was reaching its historical peak. And the Indian flags that the people were hoisting, they were being manufactured by China. So this is how the real world works. When it comes to Pakistan, Pakistan has good relations with China right after Bhutto's visit to China, when we had very good economic and political relations with them. We had been very close friends with the U.S. Pakistan developed you should never forget, Pakistan developed its economic might, whatever smaller it is, and military might with the help of U.S. We do not like U.S., but at the same time, just remember that U.S. had a very strong impact on Pakistan's economic development. The first, giving you one example, this is not going to be an economic lecture. The first formal economic policy group that was developed in Pakistan, who did it? Its name, Pakistan never had a good planning commission when it got independence. The first advisory group that Pakistan got is known as HAG Group, the Harvard Advisory Group. It came from the US. That provided the basic framework and policies to run this newly born country. So this is our starting point. Then you see all the economic growth and whatever decade of development under Ayub Khan's era and whatever had happened, it came because of the US resources. Dr. very rightly pointed out all the aid that we got under BL 480 and subsequently under various programs. You might have learned in recent times the Calilugar bill. Pakistan got so much aid under that Calilugar bill. And then you had been receiving all the strategic grants that from the US when you were fighting with Taliban in Afghanistan. And at the same time, China now, and another thing that is very important, and you are experiencing it right now, is that you need American support because America has a very strong influence on the global financial institutions. Pakistan right now is having a lot of trouble in getting the final tranche from the IMF. And right now, me and Dr. Saab were discussing that many of the political and economic issues that we are facing in this country at this particular moment is because of China versus U.S. fight, their own strategic issues. Pakistan is caught up in the crossfire. The many critical issues today in this country are on one point, that which political party will support the West interests and which political party will support the Chinese interests. You will see it happening in coming days. So these are all very, very, sensitive issues which cannot be really decided upon in one sitting. There has to be a very strong and open debate among academia, among policymakers, among foreign policy experts, among military experts, so that we should devise one good strategy. And good strategy, in my humble opinion, who is not an expert on international relations, would be to have, a balanced approach between these two parts fighting with each other. Right? So it's all about trade and it's all about economics. Even selling weapons is all about economics. It's nothing else. So with these words, I am really thankful and grateful to my very learned and esteemed guests who have come from Strategic Institute Islamabad, all the three speakers, and our speakers from the Department of Political Science and International Relations for sharing their very insightful thoughts on this very, very important topic. And I hope we are going to arrange such events, many, many more events for our students, for their grooming, for their improving their skill sets so they can get very good employment opportunities in various institutions, not only universities and schools and colleges, but also in think tanks, as Dr. Saab pointed out, once they graduate from this university. I'm really happy to see you all here today after such a long time. We had seminars during the previous semester, and I'm grateful and I'm so happy to see all your smiling faces. Thank you very much.
Now it's time to present souvenirs to our guests. I would like to request our Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, to present souvenirs to our guests. Souvenirs are going to take a moment. Dr. Naeem, Salik. Miss Komal. Now I request Dr. Naeem Salik to present SVI Shield to our Honorable Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences. दोनों की बहुत एफर्ट्स हैं इस प्रोग्राम को मैनेज करने में, इसको यहाँ तक पहुँचाने में। थैंक यू।
होनी चाहिए वो डॉक्टर साहब की स्टूडेंट। फिर एकदम और
मिस्टर उस्मान ग़नी। and Dr. Sultan sir. Now this is the end of the event. Students, you have lunch. इधर बाहर से इधर से आपको जाना है तो आपको लंच सर्व किया जाएगा और ये प्रतीक करने के लिए ज्यादा रश नहीं करें ताकि सबको एक साथ अरेंज किया जाए। जो फैकल्टी है उसके लिए लंच है